Currencies right now are collapsing. We're seeing some like the Swedish krona hitting all-time lows today. There are really big monetary problems in play today. So when we look at Bitcoin, it's a little bit worse, and I hate to say it. I'm a perma bull, but nothing right now looks perma bullish about this. So and I'll give you some hopium here. If charts know the future, they might be suggesting that XRP is going to win this case, and I'll show you why I think that.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to Altcoin Daily. My name's Austin, joined by the man, the legend, TA analyst in the crypto space, Tom Crown. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, brother. Great to be here again.
Yep. Returning guest. And I wanted to have you on. Today's video is all about Bitcoin, obviously. What's the next move? And also XRP, heavily requested by the audience. And I do read the comments. So we'll get into both in the latter half, or we'll get into XRP in the latter half of the video. Obviously, Bitcoin's the market mover. But first, Tom, just as a reminder, what's your background? How'd you get into TA?
I'm just a chart nerd. You know, I'm a guy who grew up, I'm a millennial. I didn't see a lot of kind of hope in the future. And as I got older, I saw that the things that I was taught maybe weren't as real as they were pitched to me. And I found crypto, and it clicked for me. You know, like, this is real. This is maybe the first real thing I've ever seen. And so I've just been a nerd since, man. My background is in political science, and I've just been doing charts and stuff for years now.
And what's your style of TA? I don't even know if that's a great question, because I'm not a TA guy, but how do you handle the charts?
You know, style is a good question. I don't really have a defined style. I try to stay just as dynamic as possible. You know, people really get caught up in what they're doing and their patterns and the one way of thinking. And I've really learned, if anything, through charts, is that there is no one answer, and nothing continues to work. It just works until it breaks, and you got to just stay on your toes, always be learning new stuff, never getting too comfortable. So I don't think I have a defined style, honestly.
I like it. And you do this full time. You've been charting on your YouTube page for years now. Let's just jump right in. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin right now?
All right. So to answer the Bitcoin question that I think we're all wondering what's going on right now, we are in some very weird times. And I think what we have to do is look at some different charts to consider Bitcoin. So I'm going to pull this up. This is a chart that hopefully
I'm only seeing you guys
are familiar with.
Yes.
There we go. DXY. This is the Dixie, or the dollar. And this is something I talk about almost daily through this year. This is the monthly chart. So we're looking at a lot of data here. This is going all the way back to about 1970. What stands out to me on this chart is we can see maybe 1, 2, and potentially now 3 peaks, or really strong rallies, where the dollar's strength increased greatly. Right now, we are in one of those. We're pushing up. And the problem, I suppose, with this is that when the dollar is strong historically, we have seen some blood in other markets. So I'm going to put on some lines and squiggles, as people say, and this might be a little overwhelming, but this is what is called a dragon pattern, or this is what I'm predicting is going to happen. And you don't need to understand all of this, jargon on here. This is the basis for it. It's a traditional stock market trading pattern, and I've applied it to the Dixie chart. And the problem is if we use this pattern, it does suggest that the dollar is not done going up. This also lines up with what we've seen from Chairman Powell on the aggressive or hawkish interest rate speech that we've had over the last few months. Inflation still running hot. And so that lines up pretty well with what we're seeing here. If we get rid of this again and zoom in, the Dixie has, honestly, it's stolen our parabolic run from Bitcoin. Where were we? Yeah, it stole it. It's, well, not even just Bitcoins. We'll get into it. You're wise. You're getting ahead of me. It's stolen the run from everything. If you look at any chart right now outside of the dollar, it is red, with the exception of US Treasury bonds. which I'm not going to go into today, but it's red. The dollar is putting huge amounts of pressure on every single market. And the result, I think you guys have seen it. It's been pretty painful. I hate to say it, I'm a perma bull, but I don't think the pain is done quite yet. So we're going to look at stock really quick. This is the same chart on the monthly. And something I wanted to point out is if we looked back at those peaks on the dollar, those line up pretty well with some prolonged bearish periods in stocks. So that's kind of the negative bearish doomium that I'm bringing here today. Is a strong dollar has correlated in the past with weakening equities, especially risk assets. If we look a little closer, the last time we saw something similar to what's going on today, we had a 10-year period where really we didn't see new highs. It was a lot of pain, and that was from 2000 all the way to 2009, into the 2008, 2009 crisis, which is interesting because right about here is when Bitcoin was created. Fun side fact. Zooming into stocks.
Wait, but you're saying that, wait, but that 10-year period, you're saying the DXY, the dollar grew in strength in that 10-year period, and that's why S&P went down?
Right around here in 2000 was roughly right here at the height of the dollar. There's too much on this chart to do good circles. So a strong or peaking dollar has led to this kind of really slow, grinding, painful price action. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to have a 10-year bear market. It's not impossible. Nothing is off the table. But what I'm building to here is that a strong dollar is really not good for anything, any other asset. And in the past, we've seen it produce some very long, painful periods. And to add to my point, or to continue building on my point here, what we've been seeing over the last, well, pretty much since the beginning of 2021 on the monthly chart again, we have some very bearish price action. These are monthly candles. These are 30-day periods. In 2018, 2019, we kind of saw these quick dumps in 2020. Everyone remembers that, but they were very quickly bought up. They were kind of capitulation events. What we're seeing going on now, starting in 2021 with the dollar's parabolic climb, is not quite the same price action. You can see it's a little more limp. It's not as snappy as it was maybe in the last 4 or 5 years. And the problem with this is that it does begin to look very much like something we've seen in the past, this kind of limp price action where it's our highs don't come up, our lows keep dropping. There's really very little of that snappiness. And what's kind of cool here is you see that same, it's not quite as exaggerated, but snappiness on the way up into 2000 as well. We're on the brink of breaking potentially June's low here today. And by the time this is published, it may have already happened. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it hasn't.
Publishing in 12 hours for the audience at home.
If we break June's low, we really do look to see stocks and other assets return back to about 2000's high. And so that's 2-ish years wiped off of progress. Not the best foreshadowing today for you guys, unfortunately. So these are things I'm keeping an eye on in a macro perspective. So we do have a little bit better look when we take a look at cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, but these things are still very much in the bubble or in the realm of this monetary policy. We're seeing that nothing seems to escape the Fed's grasp. I wanted to show total. This is total crypto market cap. So this is XRP and Bitcoin and ADA and Ethereum and everything combined. And something that's interesting to me, and this is maybe the hopium for the show, is if we look back to 2017's high and even 2021's open, our yearly candle is very ugly, but it has seemingly, or so far, found support very close, if not exactly at the previous high. So this would be a very classical technical analysis movement, would be to find a resistance like in 2018, 2017, break it, and then to come back and test it as support. If that holds, that is a great, super bullish thing. That is what you really look for in charts, is resistances to turn to support, for support to turn to resistances. This is almost too good to be true. And what's good for me, or keeping the hopium alive, is that that low of June hasn't broken. That's what I'm watching here. We're still hovering above it with this perfect back test of resistance. Things are pretty good as long as the total crypto market cap stays above 761 billion. Going into Bitcoin.
That's what I want.
This is the good stuff. This is what I like to talk about. I wanted to build it for your audience.
I know, I love it. This is great perspective. And you're answering all my questions. So keep going.
Excellent. Excellent. So when we look at Bitcoin, it's a little bit worse. And I hate to say it, I'm a perma bull, but nothing right now looks perma bullish about this. So if we take that same example and we look at 2017's high, we're going to see two differences between total and Bitcoin. The difference is, well, clearly we've broken 19,900. Everyone knows that. Currently, we're still trading below it. Whereas if we just look back at total quick again, remember, it touched it, wicked and bounced, trading below.
But it's just a wick. It's not like the full candle back in 2017.
Well, yes.
There's two full candles, both that, finished the same, around the same price of 2017, 2018. Why is the wick more important? Educate me.
So you can use candles or you can use wicks. That's honestly not totally black and white when it comes to technical analysis. We could. I think what I'm showing here is we did use the wicks on total. And so if we use the wicks here on Bitcoin, we do see a little bit different picture. The picture is not quite the same. We absolutely could use the candle closes. And that actually, I wasn't going to talk about it, but it's good thing to bring up. That would be the next macro support that I see. So if you're bearish here, you don't think June's low is going to hold, 13.8, 13.9, that's where I would have my sights. That would be absolutely a strong support. You can see that on these yearly candles. Like you said, you saw it close, we fell. And then even in 2019, that's exactly where the yearly high rejected from. So that's a super important level on a technical, from a technical perspective to Bitcoin, without a doubt. Another difference also is that Bitcoin's yearly candle is actually trading lower than 2021. That has never happened in Bitcoin's history. This candle hasn't closed yet, but we've never even seen it happen intra candle, meaning before the close. So even if we do see into the end of the year, we still have a whole quarter left. If we see Bitcoin rally above 29,000 and close the year out there, that would be a more bullish perspective. Closing 2022 below 29,000 is a pretty bearish take. We've never seen it happen before. And I think I glanced over this. I meant to show this earlier. Maybe we can mix this up in the post edit.
There is no edits. There is
no edits.
Except for the clip I pull at the beginning. This is being published full on.
Good. Make my mistakes known. We can see on total, this is kind of the juxtaposition I wanted to show, is that they're a little different pictures. Total actually isn't below the previous year. So that is when a chart or when a candle trades below the previous one, we call that a bearish engulfing. If we zoom in, we see that total on the yearly never bearish engulfed. It hasn't bearish engulfed here yet. Bitcoin is there. It's currently bearish engulfed. It's broken its previous high. And unless it can close above 29,000 this year, that's a pretty bad close. This is not the most bright and bullish outlook. I know I'm usually always so optimistic. I still have hope, but this is really how I see the Bitcoin chart for the next 4 months, the next 3.5 months here is we need to close candles definitely above 19,900. We don't want to go back and be trading below the previous cycle's high. If we do, we're likely to find support at around 13,800. But my real hopes is that September closes above 19.9 and we see Q4 push price back above 28.9 or 29,000, and to eliminate or invalidate that bearish divergence on the yearly. It might be hopium. It might be, But there's a lot of stuff going on, as we've already even talked about in this episode. We have a lot of bigger forces than Bitcoin at play here, with the Fed, with the dollar, with stocks, and really the global economy. We don't even have time to go into all of it. Currencies right now are collapsing. We're seeing some, like the Swedish krona, hitting all-time lows today. There are really big monetary problems in play today. And maybe your audience can take some solace in, this is why Bitcoin was created. Let's hope it works as it was intended to function, right? It doesn't mean it's going to be moved tomorrow, but hopefully it finds strength where other markets continue to not find that same strength. So I just got in full chart mode, man. I don't know if I answered all your questions.
Tom,
I told you I was a nerd, man.
No, I love this. I love the charts. I love the perspective. And just to sum it all up, and you kind of already have done that, but because the DXY, the strength of the US dollar relative to other currencies, continues to blast through local highs, continues to go up, there's no reason to expect Bitcoin to go up based on history of the stock market, based on history of crypto. And the DXY probably won't change until the Fed stops raising rates.
It does seem like they're looking to break something before any changes are made. Certainly, they want to see unemployment up. They want to see the housing market cool, and they want to see inflation cool. And we haven't seen any of those changes yet. So you're spot on. Those factors are huge. It's possible that crypto and Bitcoin could separate and totally act on their own. We just haven't seen that yet. So at the moment, 100%, that's what I'm looking for. And I know there's one more chart your audience wants to see.
Litecoin?
Litecoin.
No,
well,
he's a big
maybe
Litecoin
next
guy.
time. Maybe next time.
Wait, before we get to
XRP.
Before we get to XRP, final question. What are you personally doing? I know you have your trading portfolio and your HODL portfolio, I assume. Did you buy any of the dip at 18,000? Are you 20%, 20%? Like, what's your strategy?
Yeah, that is the $1 million question right now, because if you really take into consideration everything I just said, it doesn't give you great options, right? We're seeing almost everything bleed, every equity, every other currency. Really, the only things that are doing well is the dollar and bonds, US bonds. That doesn't give you a lot of room. Where does capital go right now? At the moment, the dollar is the only safe haven. At the same time, the dollar is at record hot inflation. So the dollar is guaranteed losing value. It's just losing value slower than everything else. My personal play right now is I have had some cash. I've been stocking it for the last few years. I'm not really looking to make any move until I see some kind of mix up on the global scale of what's going on with monetary policy. I think I'm going to just sit on that cash.
So if Bitcoin drops to 13,000, you're not going to take a portion and buy some of the dip?
You're tempting me. You're tempting me. That could be in play. It's going to depend on what that looks like, I think, and what the environment is. I also, guys, have been in Bitcoin for 6 years. So I have had years of buying Bitcoin at much lower prices. So these aren't as appealing to me, maybe as they are to some of you. If I was a new investor, 13.8, I would be locked and loaded. I'd be ready. But I've had time to buy at those prices. It's just not quite as exciting to me. If we were to see some kind of crazy collapse and maybe trading downwards of 10,000, I would definitely start readying some of my own capital. But for the moment, I'm sitting in the safety, the guaranteed losses of dollars year over year. That's my strategy until something changes.
Tom, in about 4-6 weeks, I want to bring you back on. I want to revisit some of these charts, get your updated perspective. The link for your stuff, again, I'm going to stay subscribed down below in the comments, video description. Let's talk about XRP. To set the stage,
talk about XRP.
Last week, both the SEC and Ripple Labs filed for a so-called summary judgment, essentially telling the judge that they want the ruling today before the trial or ASAP, setting the expectation that we could get a final ruling on this lawsuit before year's end. Thoughts?
I think that would be awesome timing. I always say this, I'm not the hugest XRP guy. I
No, you're not.
have some XRP. Yeah, I love my Litecoin. But you know what? Our XRP and Litecoin bros out there, we are both kind of kin, man. We didn't get a new all-time high in this cycle. So fingers crossed we get it together here in the future. I don't know too much about the case other than I really do hope they win. I'm rooting. I'm always on Team Crypto. I'm rooting for them, and I'll give you some hopium here. If charts know the future, they might be suggesting that XRP is going to win this case, and I'll show you why I think that. This is the XRP chart on the monthly time frame. For the last, let's say, 3 months, XRP has consolidated around 30 cents. It's held this very strongly, and we can see in June's low, it hit just under 29 cents, maybe July, August, and now into September, those lows were defended. That's what we're watching for on Bitcoin to hold. Hopefully Bitcoin has the same jive that XRP does here. It's looking really solid right now. The rest of the market is not seeing so much upside, while XRP has made a big move this week. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more here. I actually streamed this a few days ago, and I was very, very proud of it. You can see the consolidation here on XRP kind of bounced around that level, and my eye was set on 39 cents. 39 cents was acting as a very strong resistance. On the way down, this is what's called an order block, where we see this big red candle, tiny green candle, big red candle. That typically creates resistance or selling pressure. And we do see XRP responded to that level on the weekly pretty tightly, moving up, rejecting, moving back down, but still holding the lows. In the last few days, we saw XRP close the highest daily candle in 100 days. It closed maybe the next 24 hours, it took a little breather and it exploded up to 50 cents. That was my upside target, mostly because it's just a psychological number. It's very easy for people to visualize 50 cents than say 48.5 cents. 50 cents is what we call a psychological number. And I always tell my audience, these almost always interact with price action, but they're rarely the major pivot points. So I'm not totally convinced that XRP, I'm not convinced that it's necessarily done with this rally. It may take into next week and the week after that. You know, there's no instant satisfaction here. But I'm looking for a return to, looks like January 2022's lows here. We had some kind of support at around 61, 62 cents. That is where I think XRP is going to be in decision time. If they win this case and we get XRP gets relisted on many exchanges and there's a lot of buying pressure, I would expect to see 61 cents break. This to me is likely going to be the telling kind of foreshadowing of the SEC's decision here coming up. But this is really moving against the rest of the market. And if you were listening to all of me rambling here today, I was kind of suggesting how all these markets are intertwined and they're all moving really similarly. So it is, it's a little suspicious or eye-catching to see XRP make such a strong move right now. I think that it could be suggesting that the SEC case is at least coming to an end, or there's some kind of positive news on the horizon.
If XRP, if Ripple Labs wins the case, you are thinking potentially a breakout over 61. How high could that go? And then what if we break down? What if they lose the case? What's the bearish scenario?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So again, I'm not a legal expert and I don't follow the case very closely. So
You're
I
a
follow
TA
the
guy.
charts.
I'm
a TA
exactly.
guy. That's it. It's so
you don't
much
have to
easier.
love it. You don't have to hate it. You just trade it.
It makes life so much easier, right? If they lose the case, XRP does have very strong support at about 22 cents. And how I said, I'm not so interested at Bitcoin and at 18,000, maybe at 13. I might even be interested.
Are you sharing your screen?
I wasn't, but I will.
Okay, you don't have to. I just wanted to be sure. Sorry, I'll stop interrupting.
There is strong support down here at 22 cents for XRP. We saw that all throughout 2018's bear market. This was really where it built a very strong foundation of buyers. I think there's likely to be buyers at that level again, even if the SEC case is lost. I might be tempted I'm not the biggest XRP guy, but at 22 cents, I might be tempted to pick up a little more XRP. I bought some a long time ago, but that's a pretty good sale, in my opinion. If they win the case, I think it's reasonable to think XRP is going to take another shot, at least at its 2021 high. That'd be around $1.60. I guess this chart doesn't have all the data, but XRP traded, I believe it was to $3 in 2018, something around there. If they win the case, it wouldn't surprise me to see actually the entire crypto market see a little bit of rejuvenation. We might see, bringing it back, maybe even Litecoin returning to its previous all-time highs. I don't think that's out of the question for XRP. You know, even throughout delisting, throughout the SEC case, it hasn't done a ton of upside action, but it hasn't broken to new lows. It's really held pretty strongly throughout all of this, and it's still in the top 10. If it has a huge event and people get very hyped and lots of money pours into it, the whole market could see upside action with it. So I'm rooting for Ripple. I'm hoping the chart is showing us a little bit of the future. It has done that in the past, but you know, this is all just analysis. It's a study. It doesn't know the future. I don't know the future, but I'm hopeful.
Tom, I'm really glad I had you on today. This was really great perspective, and I'm not a TA guy, so I love to see the TA side of crypto. Links for all your stuff are down below. I encourage my audience to check it out. Final thoughts for the Altcoin Daily Army.
Altcoin Daily Army. If you've made it this far, fam, you've made it through a lot of the pain. You're likely going to make it. I think you're going to make it. I believe in you. How about I leave you guys with that? I believe in you.
I love that, man.